Good morning. My name is Jacob Booth, and I am the Weird Christian Dude. Today we'll be studying Genesis chapter 7. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and the beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female, and the fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. So in verse 2 and 3, it talks about clean and unclean animals. That must have been something that they understood at the time, but it wasn't explained yet. That comes much later when in Exodus, where God explains the difference between clean and unclean animals. But must have had some understanding of what God meant. And that's birds by seven. Well, that was a number that I didn't remember for quite a long time. I remember the twos, but not the sevens. Verse 4, For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made I will destroy from off the face of the earth. So there's sevens again. It's a 7-day warning that Noah gets. Hey, in a week, I'm going to destroy the world. And it's going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Both of those numbers, 7 and 40, recur a lot throughout the scripture. For whatever reason, God really likes number 40, and he really likes number 7. Verse 5, And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters was upon the earth. So Noah was 600 years at the time of the flood. And in Genesis chapter 5, verse 32, he was 500 years old when his sons were born. So that means there's less than 100 years to build the ark. I know you say less than, like, that's a long time. But in Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, we talked about that God says that my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So the period between when Noah's sons were born and God told them to build the ark and when the floods came was less than 100 years. So this verse is obviously not talking about that. It's talking about the lifespan of people. Continue on in verse 7. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of every living thing that creepeth upon the earth. There went in 2 by 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass, after 7 days, that the waters of the floods were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So this is a very precise recording of time, of when things happened. Day, month, and the age of Noah, which the genealogy records all the way back to the original 6 days of creation. So you can keep a very clear timeline of how long things are. And that comes up, well, now, basically, when the total timeline of the Earth is about 6,000 years. I don't know what the exact number was, but it's less than 6,000 years. So the Bible clearly keeps a record of when things happen, and everything in all of existence has happened in less than 6,000 years. Verse 12. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah, and Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, and the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 by 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they went in male and female of all flesh, as God commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. I think that's an interesting phrase. The Lord shut them in. I don't know how exactly it functioned, that the door, but it's interesting because God is doing it. He's sealing them in and protecting them during this event that destroys the world. Just a boat wouldn't do that. There's plenty of huge ships these days that are destroyed in regular storms, let alone world-ending floods. So I think this emphasizes the fact that without God, this wouldn't work. Verse 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went up upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. So those verses emphasize how much water was put out in 40 days. As previously said, that it comes from the fountains of the great deep in verse 11 and rain from above. So that's basically unimaginable. As far as I can think, like, it's Waterworld. If you've ever seen that movie, everything is water everywhere. And it says in verse 20 that the mountains were covered, which Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world at 29,032 feet. And the waters were 22.5 feet above that. So there's no escaping. There's no high point to go to. Verse 21. And all flesh died that moved upon the face of the earth, both fowl and of cattle and of beast and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in dry land died. That's pretty extreme. There's no exceptions. I like how things are repeated just so you don't confuse. Oh, maybe something. No, absolutely all of everything, everywhere. Where was I? Verse 23. And every living substance that was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowls of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. Wow, so it's exceedingly clear just how dramatic this flood was. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So everything that God said would happen happened exactly the way that he said it would happen. We shouldn't really be surprised, but this chapter lays it out very clearly. And then the water was there 150 days. So that's 5 months just on a boat zoo. I guess there's something to do. You got to feed the animals, but there's nowhere to go. There's literally no one else on the planet. So, I mean, that could be a little bit lonely. Just a thought. But thank you for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and you are always welcome to come and talk to me.